Welcome guys. Yo Jack, how are you, man? Happy weekend. Welcome to another live stream. Let's see what's going on in the market for this week, which is going to be again another busy week with FOMC, NFP, so quite busy in the US, more earnings seasons as well. I think Apple is going to announce their earnings. Yeah, so more volatility to be expected in the market. How was your week, guys? All good? If you are new, please subscribe to the channel, and the goal is eventually to push this to 1000 subs at least. And yeah, more content that is going to start to be delivered. I'm going to start creating more content to share with all of you as well. So as always, what we do today, we're going to review and forecast what we are looking for next week. We cover a broad range of markets, from FX, indices, commodities, and a little bit of crypto as well. Okay, so they're going to be looking at higher time frame stuff and try to identify what levels are we expecting price to go and which direction actually we are looking for price to move towards too as well. Yeah, man, I hope so. I hope so. Me personally, in terms of my trading last week, I have to admit I was completely obsessed with the N pairs, with the eventual potential of a move to downside on our yen, euro yen, and so on, and the move to the upside on the yen index, which never happened. Yeah, we carry on having these big spikes that would last like a few minutes or 1 hour, and then price will just come back to where it came from, in this case to the lows, in the individual yen pairs to the highs, and it will be just a continuation of the yen devaluing. With the BOG on the last Friday, I was again anticipation of starting to potentially look for the yen index and the yen pairs to move down in this case. But the BOG doesn't really care, or didn't really give that much importance, just kept the rate as it is at 0.1%. And by the commentary of the governor of Bank of Japan, it looks like that he's not that worried that dollar yen continues to increase, and the yen, the currency, the yen, continues to devalue. Apparently, at this point, it looks like he's not worried with the effects that can have into the Japanese economy. But personally, I was actually indeed quite obsessed with it. So I was trying to look for those shorts, which they happen here and there, but they continue to break new highs. And yeah, I became kind of a fundamental trader instead of price action, which is my number one thing. I'm looking for price action to trade trades. So yeah, it was actually a negative week for me. At least I reduced my risk in half. I kind of understood that what I was doing, it was maybe not correct, but just reduced my risk in half on the trades I was taking. So it was not as bad as it could have been. But yeah, and some of the trades I did miss some targets by a couple of pips and pin losses, and yeah, it was kind of a bit of obsession myself with the N pairs last week, which who knows if this is going to continue to be for next week as well. But I will be more cautious of my PI, and I'm actually go back to risks normal R for me. But yeah, as you can see, it's just completely devaluing. Looking at the other N pairs just breaking highs, and yeah, who knows where it's going to stop. Yes, we do have these big spikes in here. That's basically, yeah, I had FOMO this last week, but it is what it is. It's trading, and we move on now. And that's why it's so important to journal as well, like to recognize the kind of mistakes that you are doing in specific moments, understand like what's part of the strategy that usually will be trading or not. Yeah, try to make as less mistakes as possible, and move on up to the next one. Yep, and we always start with dollar index. Okay, so as I mentioned, this week is going to be quite busy. We're going to have mostly it's going to be FOMC on the 1st of May, which at this point there's absolutely no surprise whatsoever. The focus is going to be more on the press conference. At this point, the rates are completely and 100% expected to remain the same, even in June as well. At this point, no rate cuts, and eventually in July, at this point, still nothing, and maybe in September starts to look for a potential rate cut. This last week, actually, for the first time, we start having slightly negative data coming from the US. For example, the GDP, which was expecting to be 2.5 or something like that, come out at 1.6. So that's a big shift in there. Manufacturing and services PMI was also not that great comparing actually the Euro and the UK. So there was a little bit of a reduction in there. And it was well above 50, it kind of went really on the edge of 50. I think manufacturing would be below 50. So that's something new that the Fed is going to take into consideration at this point. Because having a strong economy, labor market still pretty much strong at this point, the Fed could delay the decision to eventually rate cuts. But if the economy starts to slow down, that can be a good question mark. Yep. And then on Friday we have NFP as well, which we're going to have services PMI straight after that. And usually this is kind of when you have those two data combined, one after the other, that's quite interesting. Because there's maybe the first movement during the NFP, and then the continuation of the momentum can occur during the services PMI. So that's going to be an interesting one to follow on Friday. Just something to pay attention how to trade NFP next Friday. Yeah, aside from all that, yes, we do have bank holiday in many countries in Eurozone, in Europe, and not so on, and not only with the Labor Day on the 1st of May. Yeah, and that's basically it. Continuation of the earnings season as well in the US. Dollar index. All right, so on the dollar. So this was a tricky one. If you do recall, we predicted all these moves to downside back on the 17th, maybe 17th of April, with this level being respected. Price kind of initially we broke the low, so we were bearish. That level was left behind. Initial price reacted from here, then eventually end up reacting finally from that level in there, and eventually moved to downside. We were looking eventually for price to fill this range, but this range doesn't really mean that price needs to go all the way to these lows. It just needs to fill actually this range. Okay, which this one is actually the kind of this rectangle in here that created this low, that created the lower extreme of this big rectangle, but the upper edge of this level is also important. Price does tend to react from it as well. So at this point, I'm okay. Okay, so while price, I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay in terms of I could see now new highs on dollar index, and as long as we touch that level. Okay, because when we created these lows, we opened this door, we created this price in here, and during all these lows, I was still not really happy where the dollar index was reacting from. So I was still looking for potential new lows on dollar index until eventually price reacted or reached one of these levels, either here or then eventually could go a bit more into the extreme. And that's basically what happened. We did have that initial reaction from here, and then last Friday we had one last spike into that level, which if you actually look into the wartime frame, I think that's actually where the demand zone is in there. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's exactly where this low reacted from. How beautiful that is. It's exactly where price reacted. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, you don't see that demand zone. You only are looking at maybe this upper edge with price actually respected. So it's respected. It kind of there is already a break to the upside. So even before price actually maybe reached the extreme in here, it's already breaking a high. So that's some indication also, and the clue that you can start looking for. But then on this 4-hour time frame, basically maybe in here or in here, that's where we'll be looking for. In this case, price didn't really reach there. But when you do move into a lower time frame, you can literally see that there is this green demand zone in there, and that's actually where this spike end up reacting from in here. Okay, so we start having all this liquidity, we break above, and then price just spike below it and goes from here. Okay, so that's interesting. For example, on the euro dollar, this spike didn't really manage to break below, kind of in this case above the high on the euro dollar, maybe because the high on the euro dollar was already reacting from the good level in here, so maybe there was no need for that. But on the dollar index, we still managed to do this final fake out, and since then price has been moving upwards. This is a kind of a good reaction here, and eventually price can even go into that level. But looking within these ranges of what we have in here on the dollar index, yep, so I'm okay at this point. If price doesn't really want to create new lows on dollar index, I am okay with that. Looking a little bit more into the higher time frame and looking left where we are, we mentioned several times already that initially we were looking for price to get closer to this zone. We do have a gap in here created back in November. Price went inside the gap, hasn't closed the gap, so price can still definitely go upwards and eventually close this gap in here that we have from this level. So if dollar index does want to continue to move higher, totally okay with that. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Okay, but again, we broke this level, want the price to go down. Price eventually went down, it closed this gap in here. Again, hasn't really reacted from the extreme of the extreme, but where it's reacting, it's okay at this point. So if price does want to continue to go higher from here, it can. I'm totally okay with that. And after we react from here, then you can pay attention to see what's going to happen, or eventually towards a bit more to the extreme in here can also be quite reasonable on the dollar index. Now, yes, price reacted from the supply on Friday evening. Meanwhile, kind of started to move a little bit toward to the downside. Within this range, do you have anything else in here that you want to trade from? Maybe this level is even still fresh from here. If price does want to continue to kind of retrace all the way back to this level, maybe from here it can go higher again. In here, maybe not really sure if I'm going to be active within this level, maybe a bit more at the extreme. In here, who knows? Let me just check kind of a bit more higher time frame. I have the daily. Yeah, who knows? Again, if prices want to continue to move forward and get a bit more closer to this extreme, it can also. Okay, I'm not really be against it. I was more bearish last week just because, again, there was this reach with this gap, but at this point I'm going to be waiting and see to what kind of a move price may do. If it starts maybe breaking this level, yes, maybe we can go a little bit forward. If it starts approaching towards this level in here in some kind of compression, and maybe start showing some weakness of want to go down, maybe then you can look for that sell opportunity. If price, again, as I mentioned, still wants to fake out even this highs and close that gap towards this level, it can, and then we can go and move forward from here. Then maybe we can go here, and then maybe we can go higher, just like that. Okay, so that's just something on the dollar index to see how price may react around this level. Yep, maybe the extreme is still okay, that extreme is still okay as well, and you can maybe try to look for potential trades within those zones, and again, still aware of that level and that level in there as well if price does want to continue to go higher. So basically that's what I will be looking for on the dollar index. Try to see how price may react from here. Euro index. Let's jump into the indices first, and then we go into Euro index and the yen index. Now the indices in here, S&P. Okay, so yes, it was quite a busy week. We had earnings. Most of the big tech announced already their earnings. I think Apple is still next week, but I think we had Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, many others announcing. That's why it has been quite volatile, especially at the end of the session. Okay, so you do need to be aware of that. At least if you don't pay attention to the earnings, at least be aware when they are about to be released, and they've been released around 8-9 p.m. At least UK time. So that's when you see these big candles occurring at the end of the session around 9 p.m. Somewhere in here. Okay, so be aware of that in terms of volatility. What we have in here, Personally, I do believe that this is still an engulf to downside. Okay, I think that price, by breaking below this low in here, it opened the door to go further down. I think almost all of this is compressed, so eventually I'm looking for this S&P to get closer to this level. Okay, so if not even lower, and getting even closer to here, since this low is already a break below this level. So that's actually a little bit of more of the target, and at this point it's the retest of this previous high in there. So that's S&P. Bigger picture, that's what I'll be looking for. Now, lower time frame. Okay, zooming in a little bit more into this level. In here, we did manage to break above this structure, so we had this rectangle. As long as when price does break this level, then you could anticipate eventually a move upwards. Okay, this is, in my opinion, a bit more of a shorter time frame, just indicating that maybe price could retrace a bit higher, maybe before moving lower. Okay, so yes, we did manage to break above it. As you can see, just by looking at this, there was space in here, because this high it was nowhere near close to that level, and after that we just went all the way to retest the demand zone that was in here, and price, it was just moving higher. Okay, so this was okay, kind of a typical move. Price breaks the highs, retest back into kind of the origin, kind of the demand zone, and just continues into the direction of the break of the high. Okay, again, this one for me may be more focused on the bigger picture. So if we're looking almost as the different colors in here, this will be kind of one scale of it, and this red one in here, it will be a smaller scale of what we'll be looking for. Okay, so maybe price can first feel the green before eventually price can follow the yellow direction. Okay, in this case, this engulf in here. So that's a little bit in terms of scales and the way we can look at this in here. Was there anything in here a little bit more closer to the lows that maybe price could have gone towards to, instead of just stopping in here? Maybe there was still something in here that price eventually could go, and who knows if you're going to have some kind of reaction whenever price comes back into this level. But at this point, this is what we have. Okay, so yeah, we broke above it, kind of start creating a little bit of this level, and let's see what's next. Again, there's still, in my opinion, some levels in here at the highs that could be interesting on the S&P, but before that, maybe there's some other levels in here that S&P could react from. We're going to be looking at the approach as well, and try to see if there starts to be some weakness as well. Maybe by weakness we can mean break of lows, we can see compression as well. So that's a little bit of what we will be looking for in here. Okay, now basically we are getting closer, at least already reacted from this level in here, but we can still maybe go higher first and maybe compress a little bit until eventually we can go down in here. Okay, so that's still a little bit of my focus eventually, to look for potential more sells in here. Curious to see how price may react. Again, could retrace towards this level, could go higher from here. Yeah, maybe that level could be interesting. Again, the extremes as well. Not really sure if we're going to go all the way back to the highs. But yeah, again, bigger picture, this for me is still an engulf down, and I'm looking for price to get there. It's just at this point to be aware of when to try to catch that potential short opportunity from here. NASDAQ. Okay, NASDAQ in kind of filled out this range. Okay, and it already went below that, and they already reacted from the upper edge of this level in here. Okay, this was a potential good trade on Monday, when you do have one last fake out and then kind of price retested this level. It went higher. I was even looking for price to come back actually to this level again in here, but price just paused from this level. So okay, yeah, price could still, in my opinion, retest towards this level in here. I think that could be nice. So Rav, man, how are you? I'm good. How was your week? How's everything? Welcome back again to the stream. Yes, and at this point, NASDAQ is closing the gap. Okay, so this was a nice engulf upwards as well. Kind of we went above it, kind of took these highs in here, retested all the back, and then kind of now interesting to see how price may react from within this level. This level that hold price or worked as a support level for quite a long time in here. So let's see if we're going to have NASDAQ kind of holding this level and pushing down again. There's still this KM zone in here, which can still be interesting to see if price does react from there or not, and it respects it. Otherwise, you may be looking for NASDAQ to go maybe slightly higher, maybe fake out actually these highs, and after that maybe start moving lower. So that may be something to pay attention in here. Start showing a little bit of a move down, basically price reacting already from the supply in there. So it's going to be interesting to see how price may open and if it respects this level or if it's going to go and moving to the upside. Okay, basically we had a really strong bullish weekly candle in here after a strong bearish weekly candle. So yeah, worst case scenario, you can even just retest basically the opening from last week. Retest that level, maybe can go down. After that, where is actually that level in here? So it will be a bit more closer to this 18,000 mark. But yeah, that's going to be interesting, and we'll see if there's going to be more room to the downside. Okay, so basically again, NASDAQ already filled out this range, which was already below that level and touched that zone. Eventually could even go lower, but is not as bad. At least the low I prefer it on NASDAQ comparing with the S&P. And in terms of the Dow I prefer it so much more. Dow basically respected this extreme in here. In this range, it's actually some kind of opportunity that we were looking for, and in reality this was actually the short that I was looking for. Okay, I didn't really pay attention when NASDAQ created this high. It was a great opportunity to short it in here when we fake out this high. So I was actually paying attention and trying to look for these highs to be taken, but I do think that I forgot to put some kind of alert, or then I didn't pay attention to it. Okay, I was looking for price to eventually fake out that level. It went down in the morning, and in here it could have been a great trading opportunity to look for after you actually take this level. Already start showing some weakness in here, and you could kind of have traded this move down. And yes, on the lower time frame, that was quite nice to look for. Okay, but I completely ignored it. Again, my obsession with the yen pairs, and when you are obsessed with something that maybe shouldn't. And this is why it's so important kind of to pick your stocks or assets, whatever you want to trade for the day or for the week, because then we are not going to pay attention to some other maybe even better or great opportunities that are occurring. And that's basically a little bit of what happened to me this week. There were some good trades or some good setups that I didn't really pay attention this week, and this was one of them. And I remember that I had alerts on the Dow. I don't think I had the alert on the NASDAQ, to be honest, because Dow actually was the only one that never really managed to fake out the highs that I was looking for as well before looking for a potential short, and these were the highs. Okay, I wanted to see Dow actually faking out this level, getting into this previous level, and also the lower edge of this level. To look for the short, never happened. It respected it, which may show a little bit more weakness in here, since we haven't really managed to break the highs just yet. So yes, Dow, we'll see what's going to happen in here. I'll still like to see eventually this, and if you do break these lows, then you start opening door more to downside. At this point we haven't done that, so respected perfectly this level in here. The extreme, right, is literally studying or being able to identify these ranges where the low starts, where then the compression, we start from the lows, kind of from zone 1 to zone 2, then the zone 3 full of compression till eventually have the zone 4, and you can look for a trade from basically the turn from here all the way to the lower edge of that level, since everything in here has been compressed on the way up. Yep, you can look at that from intraday levels all the way to maybe monthly levels as well. So yeah, so let's see. Again, that level I'm still going to be interested, and whenever Dow manage to fake out this high, I think there's going to be some reaction from here. Otherwise, maybe just go a little bit higher in there. So that's something I'm paying attention to, and then maybe a little bit more at the extreme in here as well. Okay, so we'll see how these guys are going to react from here. And then DAX was the other one that never really managed to make this small final move in here. So I was looking for price to get to this supply level to fake out all this level. Price, I think it fake out this high, never really end up taking that level, and you had the big move to downside. In here, this was right for me when I started to pay attention to. That's when price already was reacting. It was a nice kind of KM zone, and I was looking for price to kind of spend a little bit more time at the lows and then move upwards, but it didn't. It just kind of basically compressed, touched, and it went away. Didn't really manage to kind of create my setup in there. But yeah, again, curious just to see how eventually DAX may react from this level. I don't really think that price is going to just stop here. I think price will eventually even go higher. This will be just more of an intraday setup. Actually, I wanted to see this deep retracement since price had moved to the upside quite strongly before, but now that this big move to the downside already happened, at this point the target, whatever target you're going to be looking in here, it may be smaller. Okay, we may not have kind of another big move down. It's going to be maybe smaller, whatever maybe structure price starts creating here. That may be just the target of whatever reaction price is going to have from there. Okay, it may even just maybe react from here, touch this previous level support resistance and move upwards straight away without even making any bigger move in here. If by any chance we start compressing in here, for example, take this low, open door maybe to go eventually towards there, but if then we go higher without really filling this potential zone, if you do that, then maybe another compression here, then maybe can have a little bit more of a bigger move like this. Okay, so that would be kind of a different type of approach towards maybe that level. Maybe can have a little bit more of a bigger target in here. But if by any chance price just continues to go higher like this, okay, and then maybe just something like that, and price will just resume the move without really giving much importance, and maybe this level actually can work eventually as a zone for price to continue. Okay, use it like now as a long instead of a short in there until maybe price can go towards a bit more of these upper zones in here. Yep, but it's something to pay attention to and to be curious to see how price may react from there. Again, how this move down was quite good. Price reacted exactly from one of the good levels that we had in there after feeling out this compression as well on the way down. Yep, so that's for DAX, which I'm going to be interested to pay attention to as well on that level. Then you have Euro Index. Okay, so yes, Euro Index. All right, so what do we have in here? Now, we did manage to predict this move to the downside. However, even when we were here, we did mention that prices or these highs haven't really reached the final destination, maybe to the upside. Okay, so basically these highs in here, maybe they eventually reacted, maybe that didn't even reacted from this low, which means that there was still room eventually for these guys to go higher somewhere in here, okay, or even eventually to get closer to the extreme of this move after price kind of made all this move upwards, retraced all the way back, respected this demand zone. So the tendency at this point eventually, especially start taking out these highs, and especially this one, the tendency eventually is for price to eventually feel that zone in there. Now this for me, yes, it continues to be even an engulf down. Okay, we didn't manage to break an important low in there, but there's still space to the upside in here, and I'm curious to see how price may react from there. Okay, on Friday it did reacted from this level, which was okay, it was quite good. Okay, so we started to close at least this space. Okay, so it got into there, and eventually can even go higher, eventually can even maybe go towards more this zone in here. And if you even look more to the left side, it can even go farther left. Yeah, if prices want to continue to break, then eventually can even go more. But I'm curious to see how price, in this case Euro Index, may react a little bit more, even from this level, even above this highs. However, from this level can be, and we can have some reaction, and you already are reacting from there. Okay, price is already reacting from that level, as you can see in here. It was a good reaction, and I'm curious actually to see now price may react from here. Maybe we can have a little bit more of a push to the downside on the euro. If that's about to happen, then maybe dollar index can actually go higher at this point. Yeah, so again, it's going to be interesting. Eventually during the week, when you get closer to that FOMC, and then eventually with the NFP, we want to see dollar index kind of controlling the move. We want to see some alignment in between maybe the other dollar pairs. So I can talk about euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar, maybe CAD as well, dollar, franc Swiss, and so on, to see a little bit of alignment where we may see literally the dollar being the dominant asset for this week in here. Okay, so let's see how Euro index may react from here, and if it doesn't stop there, it can go slightly higher for sure, somewhere in there. And then this guy, right? So not really much to mention at this point. It's complete sell-off in here, and yeah, just let it go. Right, again, it continues with these kind of spikes all of a sudden, but it continues just to crash and to move to the lower. And let's see for how much longer we are going to have this yen index moving lower and the dollar yen moving to the upside. Okay, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, so at this point, for sure, we do need to break above this supply level to eventually even think about any turns. The thing is that any kind of move to the upside has been quite aggressive, just like this. Right, just a big spike takes kind of 5 minutes to just go up in these guys, and then there you go, just retraces all the way back to where it came from, and it just then resumes the move. So again, just the same way that 1 month ago or so I made videos about how to trade all-time highs. At this point, it's basically what we can look at the reverse kind of levels in here on the yen index until identify some signs of reversal, and we can flip to the opposite side and look at dollar yen in this case. And I'm doing that in here because I don't even have history on MT4 to look at it. So this is where we are. Okay, so there was kind of a good level in there that I was looking for initially. It was just above this high, kind of somewhere in here, and we did reacted from it Friday morning. But now we are getting even closer to this structure, and eventually we can even take this highs, to be honest. I think it can even take this highs, and I think it can even maybe go into that level. Who knows? Let's see how price may react around this level, but then eventually it could go. Again, this is even hard to see. It's just dots in there, so I don't even know what to make out of it. But this level in here on the weekly time frame is not bad, and then you have, of course, all this level in here as well to look for in here. So that's just something to consider. Yeah, this one on the weekly doesn't look bad. This one on the weekly doesn't look bad either. And this one on the weekly, yeah, maybe we can have some reaction from there. All right. At this point, it's not exactly about price having a good reaction or not. It's more about how if price actually holds it, right? So that was the first level, and price kind of moved all those pips to the downside, but it came back all the way back to resume the move upwards. It's more about if price finally makes a strong move down, but then it stays there. That's more of what you can try to look for, right? Or that's kind of the bearish sign that you're looking. It's not just one big move down, but actually being able to stay there and to create a new low after that. That's more of what we may be looking and waiting for on these yen pairs, and in this case dollar yen. I think I need to check also euro yen from here, which is about to break the highs. So it's about to break these highs. By the way, is any of you trying to trade the yen pairs as well? It's about to break those highs. Actually, let's just take a look into this. It's basically already touching there. It's literally at the extreme. So is price by any chance is going to respect this extreme? or are we going to fake out these highs into something more in here? Supply there, maybe that's the zone in there. That have already reacted from basically that level in there. Price could react from something in here as well. Second, let's just see where this one actually reacted in here. So that level is still fresh. Which could also be the low of that level, which is the last one that created this move upwards, which is this one. Oh, okay, it's already reacted from here apparently. Alright, so we had this supply, but it's already reacted from there, so forget about it. It's weaker, so we can start looking lower. Yeah, that level can be okay. Price does want to go eventually above those highs. But even looking left, yeah, that was already reacted from here. So yeah, we will see. All right, so taking those highs, maybe we can react from this level just above the current highs. Okay, so that's maybe an opportunity to look for on the euro yen. Something from here can be interesting. That one is basically taken. So yeah, it would be nice if we could go even lower in the time frame, but we cannot. So that's not possible. We are back into 90s, right? It's 92 or something like that. Like it's just too much. Now, should we be surprised that price is about to take these highs? I don't really think so, because if you actually look in here, price reacted from the demand zone. Like, so we managed to go all the way up. It took these highs, price came all the way down, and it respected the origin of the move. So there's no surprise that eventually price actually is going to take these highs, right? This is just kind of a natural price movement, and price is going to start challenging eventually maybe even higher in here, and maybe again price reacting. Yeah, that's already there. So it's the same with the yen index, as we've seen a bit, and no surprise that price actually ended up taking these highs that we looked for in there. So that's on the euro yen, and it's going to be interesting as soon as you may take that structure, and let's see if we do take it or not. Okay, and just a normal move could be just even reacting from there all the way back to this level, and then resuming. That's going to be maybe one of the potential moves in here, is just for price maybe to eventually come all the way back in here, and from there we can maybe resume the move to the upside. We do have all these lows in here that we can literally fake out into this level and just retest this structure, the previous structure in here, and challenge to go higher again. Okay, so that will be quite a massive opportunity to look for. That's basically just this weekly candle alone that we eventually could basically correct the move, and you'll see. Right, but that can definitely be a potential target on the euro yen, as we can see it like from around this level in here. Which, yes, I'll try to look for that trading opportunities. You can see you start breaking some lows in here, so that's something to bear in mind. So we'll see what's going to happen in here on the euro yen. All right, so moving along to the individual currency pairs, mainstream. So this is the euro dollar, right? So that was a little bit of the range that we're looking to see price filling. We were bullish in here, price had broken that level, so we're looking for price to go higher, the same way that we're looking for the dollar index to go lower in the beginning of the week. So price eventually started doing that. He kind of missed this demand zone in here, and yes, this was kind of a little bit within this range where price eventually I would like it to go towards. So this level was okay, but price still kind of made that last fake out into this level. And as I mentioned, the spike in here didn't really went all the way or took the highs, just respected the structure, and it moved forward, and we actually now took the lows. Okay, so again, what can you expect from here on the euro dollar? personally, these are not my favorite lows. Eventually, I would like to see euro dollar actually taking these lows and moving lower in here. Is it going to be from this high, or is euro dollar going to fake out this highs one more time and getting closer to something else before making that move lower? That's a bit of the question mark in here. I'm not really sure, to be honest. This value is okay, I'm okay with the price respecting this structure and resuming the move down without breaking. If it starts breaking this level, it starts opening a bit more the doors to go higher, and maybe we're going to hold these levels a little bit longer. But personally, I'm not the biggest fan of these lows. I think I would like to see euro dollar going even further down. We did manage to take these lows, as I mentioned, so we could have a bit of retracement and just resume the move to the downside in here. We'll see what's going to happen. Honestly, not really 100% sure about what to look in here. Is there going to be more opportunities in here at the highs if the euro dollar wants to get there? Maybe with this spike we haven't really got closer to this extreme, so that's maybe something in there on the euro dollar. Is the euro dollar just going to respect something here and move down? Maybe, and we do have maybe this demand zone as well in here that maybe euro dollar hasn't really reacted from, and maybe can push price higher. So, but yes, in general, I would like to see euro dollar actually taking eventually these lows. They don't really look strong. It created kind of a nice move accumulation during these periods. That's okay, but I'm more talking about looking left where we are. I would like to see this euro moving a bit more to the downside. Pound. Right, pound had that big move down. Okay, this was a really good reaction where it reacted from here. It filled this range, and yep, it just reacted from this upper edge in there. That's even a little bit more to the downside if price does want to go there. And this was actually one of the last predictions we made during the last live stream a week ago. It was to talk about price faking out this level and getting into here and potentially looking for a short in there. If you don't recall, that's exactly kind of what the last thing we mentioned about pound dollar. It was exactly that, for price to go above all this zone and get into closer to this level to expect some reaction from there. Now, what I also mentioned in that moment was that because price was, where was price, right? So price was somewhere in here. I didn't really want to see kind of pound dollar to close out the gap, right? I would like to see this space still available and then make that move, and then kind of we still had the potential, a good target to look for, a space to fill in this case. But at this point, basically the space has been basically filled already with that last spike down last Monday, and after that we actually moved higher. So from here, price doesn't really need to do a big reaction. It already reacted from there on Friday, but this is kind of a key level in here to look for and to see if pound wants to go higher from here or eventually kind of hold it and actually moving lower. Okay, so that's kind of a question mark at this point to see what the pound dollar wants to do in here. Yes, this high was quite quick, and in my opinion, maybe there was still some left orders behind in here. Price kind of started to react or kind of move away from the level quite high, and not really close to the lows. I would have liked to see kind of one last touch in here, kind of something in that zone, but didn't happen, which maybe still can push eventually or track price to go a little bit more towards the downside before maybe making a bigger reversal. Yep, that's okay, kind of that double spike. If prices even want to go slightly higher, again, we still have this range in here. So we did reacted nicely from that level, but if price does want to go or fake out even this highs in here, it can. Okay, again, we did manage to break below this low as well. So just curious to see how price may react around this level in here, and if there's a chance to eventually go lower. Again, this already goofed down, so eventually price can even go lower from here as well. So that's going to be interesting. And as I mentioned, by Wednesday, eventually expecting to see the dollar pairs in alignment towards FOMC and then eventually towards NFP as well. So yeah, most likely it's going to be dollar dominance during this the week ahead. So that's something to bear in mind. So there's maybe some kind of correlation to expect with the euro and and the pound as well, which have been a little bit not so much corrected these last couple of weeks in here. So yeah, I'm okay if it wants to go slightly lower, and I'm okay also if it wants to pick out this size, something in there, and move lower, and then in there. This was actually something that we looked for in terms of symmetry. Again, this is a concept that maybe not many people maybe follow in this case. Okay, again, this reaction from the low, it was also a reaction from this left shoulder in here. So this was a big reaction, a really great level to look for. But something that then we looked for in here, the potential target for this move upwards, it was this level, okay, in here, or eventually that level in there. Okay, so that's basically try to see the levels that where price kind of reacted from, kind of came from when it reacted from here. Sometimes we do have kind of that similar level, as you can see, it reacted perfectly from there, and the next level it will be somewhere in here, which is not a bad level neither. Eventually, if pound wants to react from there, okay, it's kind of just try to see when from here, eventually when price does get closer to that level, eventually can feel the same kind of space in here. Okay, basically filling the same kind of box from one level to the others in here. But I'm not going to really dive deep into that because that's quite complex. It can be quite tricky, and I think we don't really need to make it as complicated as that. Just curious to see how price does bounce from those levels. Yeah, so that's pound. Euro pound finally start moving. Right, we finally broke to the upside in here. We went out of the way, feel the compression, and basically reach the lower edge. I was looking for euro pound to go slightly higher, to be honest. Unfortunately, just reacted from the lower edge in here. It was okay, we felt out this compression, but I was looking already eventually for the euro pound to get a bit more in here. All right, created now double top in there, so maybe who knows, in the future may go there and react from. Aside from that, not really much. Okay, I was really looking for potential move in here, start getting into my radar. It was quite bullish for a few days in a row, but yeah, where price just stopped, didn't really reach my final level. So yep, back into this level where it spent the last 4 months basically. So we'll see what's going to happen from here, but it did feel all this compression, so that's okay. And reacted from the lower edge, not really the supply in there. This is what it is. Aussie dollar, right? Aussie dollar also great reaction from the supply, from the demand, from the extreme of the demand, initially from the upper edge, okay, from here, but then into literally the extreme of this demand zone. Perfect reaction. Again, it was quite aggressive. We talked already about this level in here, and since then has been moving to the upside. There was kind of few reactions from good levels in there, but again, eventually maybe you can see this Aussie getting maybe closer to this level in here to move forwards. Now we'll see how price may react now that it took these highs and still kind of maybe within this structure. But Aussie, as you can see, tends to kind of fill the ranges, doesn't really leave the ranges just behind. So we'll see how Aussie dollar may move. Okay, eventually I would like it to see maybe going a bit higher. You could have a little bit of a deep reaction, deep retracement, sorry. It go up or kind of getting a bit more closer to this level as well. So that's something to consider, but we are back into this level in here on the Aussie dollar. And then Aussie yen, right? So this has been, yeah, one of those that I've been following. You can see like these spikes are quite something, right? So the way price just spikes to fill literally the range, react from demand and go higher is just incredible. So these yen pairs have been on fire. We fake out the highs already, kind of that little structure that we had. Okay, we had a little bit of a few reactions, but then eventually price end up taking that level. Now we kind of a little bit in here, and I'm curious to see also price eventually can react from this Quasimodo in here, and eventually if doesn't really stop there, then we are going to be looking for price to go even higher, maybe more towards this zone in here, which is already actually a break to the upside. So, but we may still have something in here as well. So that's just something to keep an eye on the Aussie. I'm not really sure how much more it can go. Yep, something in here can be interesting. Okay, so price pausing here, so let's see how price may react from there, and if it continues to be quite bullish, then we continue. Okay, so again, the most important part is that yeah, just wait for PA in here. Yeah, so let's see. I'll continue to be following the N pairs this week, but I will be more respectful of the PI that I see. But we'll see. I'm just no need of prediction, just trying to see when do I have that weakness in here, and eventually to move lower. Right. Let me continue to have these big spikes down, and price just coming back straight away. Yeah, that's going to be something to follow. So that's Aussie yen. Yep, something in there. Now that you took these highs, it's going to be curious as well. First natural target, eventually it can be just retest of this structure into this demand zone. And what can you say, right? We already looked at it. The potential to move even higher. So we had that initial reaction, and then price just moved down. It's incredible, right? Because price basically in the overnight it moves like 150 pips to the upside, then in 1 hour it moves 150 pips or even more than that to the downside, right? And then it just resumes. Like it's the average ADR, as you can see, for example, it has been 70 pips around that, and just on Friday it was 347, and not even considering that we made this move down to make this move to the upside, right? So it's 347 plus this correction in here, which yeah, which is, again, as you can see, it's quite strong in here. So yep, just keeping an eye on it. Just keeping an eye on it. And pound yen, same thing in here. This was actually quite interesting. The way price went down, respected the demand zone, and then it spiked down in here to react from the KM zone in there, right? So that's quite interesting. Fill the range. Since the range is already filled, now just came back in here, react from the quasi-modo that was left behind, and it goes higher. So it's the same thing. Again, you can look a little bit in here. So this was the same that we were looking eventually for price to go higher. Okay, price starts to break to the upside in here. We create these lows, price goes up, retests, perfect reaction from this demand zone again, and then just a normal move in here. If you do kind of respect a double top, a double bottom after actually breaking some structure in here, the tendency is for this side to be taken in here. Okay, and now we are looking to see how and where this pound yen eventually can go towards to. It's already kind of back in 2008 something, so that's going to be interesting. What's next in here? Yep, this quasi mode in here is already reacted from, so that's already taken, and then eventually can even go all the way towards this level. So that can be interesting. Basically, there's a big gap in here, but that's way too much. Most likely you're going to first react from within this level. So that's going to be one of the key levels to pay attention to. Okay, so somewhere maybe within this level first. And if price then eventually wants to continue to go, then you can navigate more towards this zone in here. Okay, but yeah, that's a lot to go what to happen before price goes there. I cannot go there on the 4 hours, so forget about it. We do have kind of this demand zone in here that price pushed higher, but that's something to look for. We do have this valve in there as well. So yeah, let's see. Yep, this is basically where it stopped in here on the daily time frame. Then you had this big candle down and price goes. This one never really reached that level. That's something to consider. Of course, you have some reactions in here as well. The price can definitely react from. You can see the upper extreme in here is already reacted from, but not the base. So that's going to be also an interesting one. Yeah, so who knows? Let's see. Just keeping an eye on this one in terms of targets or potential targets. Of course, you did manage to take that highs, those highs now, and eventually retesting this level can just be a normal target in here. So that one is already kind of a good amount of pips for the pound yen to go towards 2. So yep, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen to fill all this compression in here eventually if you do break below that level. So yep, I'll continue in there. Even CAD yen as well. That was even another one that we looked for. All right, so another big move upwards, and it's finally closing the gap in here. Okay, so CAD yen, as we mentioned several times, it was the one that still needed to navigate a bit more to the upside to get into an interesting level. Meanwhile, the other ones are already breaking highs, and CAD yen now is approaching this interesting structure in here. Okay, so let's see how it's going to react from this level. How are you going to fake out this high? Getting a little bit more maybe towards in here. So it's something to bear in mind. Do have this structure. Maybe price can bounce a little bit from this zone in here. Again, as a normal target, eventually we just retest this structure in here. It can be something to pay attention to. Do have kind of a little bit of that compression as well. So we'll see what this CAD yen is going to do in here, and how the market's going to open also in there. CAD yen, dollar CAD. All right, so dollar CAD continues a little bit more in this bearish move. So we managed to take these lows. That was maybe a good opportunity to start looking for a potential retracement after finally it took this range in here, opening the door to go more to downside. Okay, maybe that door is still open. Maybe we can go a little bit farther down in here, and then kind of price reacted for the next good level. It was in here, okay, around this level. Price it bounced from here. Now this spike, I was not really expecting it, and that fake out, but price basically just respected from here again, and kind of start compressing within this range. What's the final destination? Can price still respect the extreme in here? Price can maybe eventually get closer to here before the turn. Again, price respected perfectly once again kind of this highs after respecting that demand zone as well. So again, I'm curious to see how price may react maybe closer to here to see if you resume the move upwards, or if you do break kind of within this compression level, then we have a lot of compression that we can feel. Maybe even in here can be kind of an interesting one, but we can even start potentially look for a retest of these lows again. But for now, yes, I'm curious to see how price may react from here, okay, from this upper edge. Really strong level of resistance that we had before can maybe work a little bit of as a level of support now in here. Even though on the short time frame, don't really see much going on within this week, so that's a tricky one in here. But yeah, that's kind of dollar CAD. Can be interesting. Again, from here maybe can be another sell. Since he actually managed to break new lows. If by any chance price does want to move to the downside from there, maybe this level is still fresh. maybe that could be a potential scenario in here. So we'll see. And then at the highs, okay, if by any chance if you do start breaking above these highs one more time, then yeah, looking maybe for price to fill out this and get closer to this level. Euro card, I haven't really paid much attention to it. A pound card was a good one. Just actually kind of an easy one. Didn't really focused on, but this was a good example of price filling out the structure in here. So you take the lows, then fake out and respect this structure in here, and this could have been an interesting long opportunity to either maybe retest this level or then eventually retest the supply, which is basically where price is reacting now. And maybe there's another level in there. Again, this size maybe just reacts from the lower side of it, so there's maybe another opportunity for price to maybe react from it one more time and maybe push lower, maybe twist towards this level. That can be an interesting zone in there. If you have taken already these lows, kind of opened the space to go further down as well, so that's good if you have taken the lows in there, right? So again, bigger picture, maybe open the door to go further down, but for now kind of retest eventually before resuming the move lower. So that's kind of what pound card has been doing in here, and yes, that level can be interesting above the structure in there. Dollar franc Swiss, which finally may get closer to the highs. Okay, so we've been waiting for dollar franc Swiss to get a bit closer to the highs, either in here or eventually actually towards this level. So that's something that I have been looking for. So I am curious to see how it's going to react from there, and if we start breaking above this level, then it can go even higher. But at this point, we do have a lot of structure in here. Okay, start showing a little bit of some weakness in here. We managed to break below this low. We never managed to break below this one. But yes, eventually we could maybe go higher a little bit more, break out properly this level, and maybe have a move lower in here. Again, most likely is going to be related to what the dollar index is going to do throughout the week. But that's something to look at. Okay, you do have the supply level, which eventually, if you go above that, then you can maybe fill out this range and then get closer to here, and from there I'm curious to see what dollar franc Swiss is going to do in here. Is it still going to hold this level one more time? We'll see. I would like it to go slightly higher before pushing lower. It already took this demand zone, so that's it's no longer fresh, so that's nice. Kind of took this one as well with this spike. So that's good. So it starts to compress a lot, eventually opens the door, or makes it easier eventually to fill all of it and to just move to the downside from here. So that's something also that may be a good setup with the right PI. That's maybe, and if the dollar index does want to go lower, that can be an interesting setup on dollar franc Swiss. And that takes us into the commodities with gold, right? Not sure if you are still there, Jack, what you're looking for gold. I've been active on gold and catching really good trade setups that we have got. So looking at the bigger picture on gold, again, the reaction from this demand zone was quite good. We were looking within this range, right? That's basically what we're looking for. And many of us actually were looking to trade gold at around somewhere in here, I believe so. And price kind of just stopped in there, so kind of price never really came closer to this level. Then it went higher, broke the highs, broke out the structure, and I did mention that for me that looked like more of a bullish setup of a bullish sign of looking for gold to then continue to go higher, at least feel this compression here, which means that this level could be interesting, okay? Because price paused, price never really filled the range to the downside, and now we have an engulf upwards. And when you do have this type of PI, that's a beauty in terms of looking for longs then from this price that was still fresh, since again these lows never reacted from it. Again, unfortunately, this happened at around 5 a.m. in the morning or something like that. So not exactly possible setup to enter. I still would like the idea of price getting even a bit closer to here. So that can still happen eventually. Price can even maybe retest one more or respect something in here one more time. Maybe then push higher after that. But yes, we did have that move. Price reacted from one side to the other and it moved higher, broke the highs one more time, and then came back into this previous range in here, this line. Good reaction, and I think that's actually somewhere where you got your long or one of your longs on gold. So are we ready to go all the way up? Is price going to keep respecting this level and start challenging to go to the upside? Maybe. Maybe. The initial move that was looking to fill this compression is done. Price basically just reacted now from this lower zone in here. It may not be the final destination, as I mentioned. Maybe we can try to challenge, maybe at least until there. Maybe, even though kind of price actually closed this level in here, between this level and this level, price actually reacted from that zone. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to continue to follow on a daily basis. It does provide good intraday setups. It's quite volatile gold at this point, and yeah, something in here I think it's nice. Something in there it could go all the way as well. So that will be something to pay attention. Yep, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, breaking at this point is basically breaking new highs, right? So as long as kind of these walls keep holding, then maybe more move to the upside. If these walls are broken, then again this wall can be interesting, but I would like actually to see price maybe retesting a bit more into this level in there. If by any chance gold does want to go even lower and start breaking this level, then I think the room to the upside starts opening up, and then eventually can go towards this level in here. Okay, if you start breaking below kind of that structure in here, then I think you can have easily kind of feel all this compression towards at least that level in here. So that's gold, and then you have oil, which also start moving upwards. Okay, so we kept holding this lower edge in here of this extreme. Yep, we broke to the upside, retest all the way to the demand. This was one of those unique compressions. It's just incredible the way price compressed in here. You don't really see that move happening that often. Look at this move to the downside. That's just unique. Yeah, another one that I didn't really set up the alert, unfortunately, because this actually created DPI to enter on the retesting here. So yeah, that was a potential good long opportunity with the chance to retest this level, but this was already kind of a break to the upside, so we could even again start even going higher from here. Yeah, one of those trades. It was a miss. Since then, good reaction then from the same structure in here, and eventually oil can continue to move a bit more to the upside. So we'll see until where is it going to go towards to in here. But yeah, so overall the space identified was the correct one. It has been the correct one, which you're trying to fill these zones in here can work quite nicely as a target, and then eventually you can start looking for those opportunities at the extremes. If it holds, then there's a chance to go higher. If it starts breaking, then eventually you can look for more continuation to the downside. At this point it's holding, and we don't really have any breaks below that level, therefore we can maybe continue to go even higher, and we'll see how price eventually is going to react closer to this extreme in here. Okay, so start breaking some lows in here. Maybe price can go towards this level, kind of reacting from this upper edge in there. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen, and then yeah, that's basically it in here. That's basically it. In terms of news, in the Middle East, kind of it slowed down a little bit after the geopolitical events that has occurred between Iran and Israel. So it's kind of slowed down a little bit, which is good. But yeah, let's see what oil may do from here. And then just to finish, let's take a look at crypto and the momentum that Ethereum is creating when comparing with BTC, right? So yep, in here we are looking for price to go higher. Basically, price broke the high, so we start to show indication that may wants to go higher. It filled out this compression again. This was quite nice as soon as it kind of turned in there, and we may still have some kind of reaction from here, if that's okay. In here, so we didn't really manage to break it. BTC, right? So BTC respected that level again. It filled out the compression and getting into this demand zone. So we'll see. Maybe can even go lower. To be honest, and again, we are still within this overall range in here. So we'll see what's going to happen, and curious to see if price actually is going to go a little bit more, maybe to the downside before starts moving upwards. At this point, you can definitely still fake out this low one more time, getting a bit more closer to here before turning, and this level is definitely still quite valid for price to react from. Okay, so something in there price can easily still react from and look for new sells as well. So that's something to bear in mind. Maybe this level and that level for BTC if it wants to hold the lows, or if it wants to hold the highs in there. And then Ethereum is the one that is already moving, right? So this demand zone was left behind. Price starts breaking the highs in here, and really good reaction, and price now moving higher and can even get a bit more closer to this level in here. Okay, so that's something to pay attention to on Ethereum. Eventually price moving a bit more higher, can even fake out, can basically retest this one more time and push a bit more to the upside. So that's something to look for. Even comparing in here Ethereum Bitcoin, you can see the momentum now on Ethereum, and the reason for that is actually, all right, so we had this low and then we start breaking the lows, but again we haven't really reacted from this level. Now we reacted, okay, we reacted at least from this previous high. We basically maybe have closed that small zone in there into this demand zone as well, and that previous basically zone of, I don't know, resistance, now maybe a support, and you may go, okay, you may go all the way. You're testing these highs one more time in here. Okay, so there's basically potentially more room to the upside in terms of Ethereum, in terms of momentum on Ethereum comparing with BTC. So that's something to consider. Let's see how price may react from here. Otherwise, we may go higher, and we do have this level in here as well. That price now starts leaving behind and can be an interesting potential long or continuation to look for more upward movement from here. That supply is actually quite nice as well in here. Maybe too obvious, so yeah, just wait for PA in there in here, right? But again, you don't really need to trade this Ethereum Bitcoin, but you can look at this one and take the information to see which one you should be looking for more momentum comparing with the other, right? So that's something to consider. And then we also have Solana, which personally I would still like to see it backing out these lows. I didn't really like these lows at this point. We didn't manage to kind of break above this high. That's something that we have seen it, so we wanted to see price going eventually higher, and at this point hasn't really even reacted from that, so we can eventually go higher again. But I would actually like to see these lows being faked out and then eventually push more to the upside. So I would like to see that, and there's maybe a bit more bearish moving here comparing with Ethereum and Bitcoin, to be honest. yeah, and that's basically it. That's basically it, guys, for this week. Again, super focus on the dollar index with FOMC and NFP this week, and plus manufacturing and services PMI as well happening. So that's going to be interesting. So whatever direction we break from here, even if we break above the highs, again, it may just close the gap and start moving lower. So that's something to bear in mind. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen until Wednesday, when you're going to have FOMC. Euro index as well could go slightly higher before maybe pushing lower. We do have a really strong compression going on in here, so eventually could lead into a sell-off kind of on the euro pairs, even though that's not the focus for this week. The euro, but can be an indication what to expect on the euro dollar as well. Again, the end pairs, what can I say? Eventually this is going to turn eventually. And let's see what the Bank of Japan, what kind of news they're going to be also in Japan, to see if there's going to be any kind of intervention or not. And the indices, they could go slightly higher, and I am curious to see then if we're going to resume to move lower again. S&P, for me, we are still with a clear and bearish sign in there. So I'd like to see it eventually go lower, but we can maybe feel the range a little bit more to the upside before looking for those shorts again. Where we're going to be on Wednesday is going to be quite interesting. We continue to have earnings seasons announcements, so that's going to continue to create more volatility in here as well. That's it, guys. So just a summary of the week, what you're looking for. Have a good one. I'll see you again next week. So it's another end of the month. It's going to start a new one. Yep, it's eventually time to do your journaling as well, to try to see your performance and so on. So, thank you. Have a good one. Bye bye.